Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, now we're live.
Now we're live. Okay. Hold on, Charlie. We're gonna have to do this all over again. Okay. Okay, Charles, we are now live again.
Good evening, everyone. It's Friday, the 24th, here on the beautiful Garden Island of Kauai with Mel and Charlie. Show them your shirt there, Mel. Show them your shirt.
Okay, we're gonna do this again.
Yeah.
Listen, we had a little bit of technical difficulties. It seems like Fridays we have this. I'm not sure what it is, but thank you guys for jumping back on. Let's take a couple minutes and wait till everybody gets back on. But really, this is the shirt. We'll do it again. So far, we've raised $640 for Hawaii Community Foundation. Kirk Korea. Yeah, thank God you're back. Thank God you're back. Is there a Wahine style shirt? No, and you can pick cash. Absolutely, you can pick cash. We can collect when we deliver. But anyway, $10 for this shirt. You let me know. Send me a message what size you want. We have PayPal or we have Venmo. You can pay us the $10. We'll get you the shirt. All proceeds goes to Hawaii Community Foundation. Again, Kirk Korea, good brother from the where is he from? Kalaheo, Ilele? On the west side, anyway. He came to us and said, "Hey, I have an idea.
He's from his mama.
Let me design a shirt. You guys go sell them." I didn't think we would sell any, but we have. And again, we've sold over 60 shirts. So again, it's a great memento of this COVID-19 time here on Kauai, in Hawaii, and actually wherever you are from. So as we talked about a little while ago before we got rudely interrupted by the electronics illiterate, don't know how to use those apps. Okay, no worry, Francine. We'll just message me with your size. We'll get it to you. So we decided tonight we're going to go back in time to where it started. You know, I think a lot of you folks have been on from the start. A lot of you folks have probably, some of you have not even missed an episode. You know, I started doing Facebook Lives for Kauai issues way back in October of 2018, maybe even September of 2018. And then COVID hit. And when we found out about COVID, and everybody was, you know, it was a relatively unknown virus. No one really knew what the heck it was. We started to see numbers go nuts. We saw China. We saw other countries that were getting devastated, Italy, and you know, we felt relatively safe here in Hawaii. And then of course, we saw it. And back in mid-March, probably about 17th, 18th of March, Mayor Kawakami came out and initiated a curfew. And I remember vividly, the curfew was to take place on March 20th. And I gotta say, he got a little bit of a bunch of criticisms. A lot of people were thinking he was crazy. A lot of people thought it was unnecessary, and some of us thought it should have been even a 24-hour curfew. But nonetheless, Mayor Kawakami took the first aggressive action against COVID-19. And when you look at the numbers today, in addition to the curfew and then the stay-at-homes and the closing of certain functions in the county, all contributed, in my opinion, and I think Charlie agrees, to Kauai having some relatively low numbers, the best numbers in the state. In fact, now we're going on over a week without any new cases. So, you know, it was because of that tough call that Derek made in March, I think, that really contributed to our success. Now, that means all of us sacrificed. All of us, I shouldn't say all, because we had some knuckleheads that didn't listen, and we still do. But we still had visitors coming in, and we didn't have any restrictions on travel. So Derek felt, you know, we're going to take care of our own, and we'll do the curfew, and it paid off. Now, his curfew started, Kauai curfew started on March 20th. Lo and behold, on the 21st, Governor Ige came out and and announces his mandatory 14-day quarantine for travelers, from mainland travelers. And everyone was excited because we felt that the state needed to do something. We felt that, okay, Kauai took the lead. Now, state, we need your help. We need you guys to help us with the visitors and to limit the number of visitors that are coming to our island and to our state, because as we found out, most of our cases were all travel related. It was either someone came here with the virus, or some of our own people went to the mainland and picked up the virus and brought it back. So on the 20th, on the 21st, the day after our curfew started, Governor Ige came out in an anticipated press conference saying that we were going to implement a mandatory 14-day quarantine for all of the visitors. And I watched that press conference live, and then he said it was going to be effective on March 26th, 5 days after his press conference. And I think a lot of people just got very frustrated. Whoever watched that, it was very obvious that Governor Ige, his supporting cast was all the people from the visit industry. You had the hotel people, you had the airlines people, and there were no medical people. And I'll be honest, I got pretty frustrated. As I said I immediately did a Facebook Live. I was so angry. And in that video, and you can find this on my YouTube channel, guys. If you want to watch any of our episodes, just go to my YouTube channel. It's just Mel Raposo on YouTube, and you can watch all of these episodes. But on the one on March 21st, that's kind of what kicked this off. I did a Facebook Live on my phone. I didn't even go to my computer. I just went straight to my phone. I was so frustrated. And I said, when the governor mentioned that there was going to be a 5-day delay, giving the visitors an opportunity, all of those guys that had reservations that were scheduled for after the 26th, we're going to be changing their reservations to come early, so they would miss the quarantine. I visualize all these visitors just all coming in to beat the quarantine. I honestly felt like I got kicked in the nuts. And that is what I said in that video. That video went viral. And after talking with Charlie and a bunch of other people, we decided that we're gonna do a show, a Facebook Live, and that we would bring on interesting people and people that can help us with answering some of the questions that we all had, because there was a lot of uncertainty. As the numbers started to rise, there was a lot of fear. I was watching that on Home Depot when I heard that gave a big WTF. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us shared that. I think a lot of us shared that frustration because we knew that all of these tourists and travelers was going to make adjustments. And then we know the airlines was offering cheap flights. We all know that they were reducing their flight, the prices, to get people to use up their tickets so they could, not be stuck with a bunch of people asking for refunds. Anyway, so on the 29th, we did our first Facebook Live, our first Zoom, if you will. We did Zoom. We had Senator Kochi, we had Mayor Kawakami, and we just spoke about this. We talked about this. We talked about the curfew, why it was important. Derek was very clear that he felt that we needed to get people at home at night to relieve our law enforcement, our first responders from unnecessary danger. In other words, without the curfew, people are out, they're drinking, they're partying, they're driving. With the curfew, everybody should be at home. And that would ease the pressure off of the first responders and the law enforcement. I got to tell you, that was a brilliant call. And I wish our governor had placed the same amount of emphasis and priority on the safety of our residents that Derek did. So that's how it started. It started on March 29th, Senator Kochi and Derek Kawakami, our mayor, and we just had a wrap session. That's it. And then we continued on the 30th, and then from the 31st is when we started bringing people on. There were a lot of questions, Charlie. And I remember, and this became personal to Charlie on the 29th. On March 29th is when Charlie found out that his brother in New York had contracted the virus. And I'll never forget that day. And even then, Charlie, you didn't think he was going to die on March 29th.
No, because the discussion was very light. I was frustrated only because I first found out through Facebook. He put a post. He said, "Oh well, just letting you know I contracted the virus." So knowing my brother, he's very he's very light in his delivery. You know, he's not over dramatic. So needless to say, I saw the word virus and I was concerned. So I called him, and he sounded like he had a raspy throat, and he just said, you know, brother, I'm okay. It's just that, you know, I need to go. If I can go 3 days without a fever, and, you know, without anything else, then I'll be good to go. I said, oh, okay, that's a Sunday. Then Monday comes along. I says, well, I'm gonna call my brother up. I can't get a hold of him. But like anything else, I know how he is. You know, he's active. Maybe he's doing something around the house or whatever. And it was only until that night, which happened to be something like 2 o'clock in the morning on New York time. I think it was 3 o'clock, is when his girlfriend called, and he says, Charlie, I saw the phone. I got some bad news. And I go, well, what happened? He goes, Eddie's been taken by ambulance and he's hospitalized. And I said, well, is he okay? He goes, no, they're gonna this is Monday night. Remember, now I talked to him on Sunday. They said they're gonna intubate him as soon as he got in, because he's having a difficult time breathing. That's how quick this thing moved. It was like somebody turned open the faucets and just let it run, and there was no way of stopping it. Now I wish.
Go ahead.
I wish I had the opportunity like the other families that, you know, they had a time and, you know, they got to see their loved ones come home. I wish I had that opportunity, because for those of you that know me, I told the story. My brother and I only discovered each other about 7 years ago, because he was given up for adoption. So, you know, we've been trying to put in a lot of time getting to know our families. You know, my mom gave him up for adoption, and, you know, it's one of those things. You wanna close that chapter. You wanna learn, you know, how your life been for the last 63 years, and, you know, you get snuffed out one crack, and I'll never be able to get that back. So that's
you know, it's a roller coaster, no doubt about it. You know, Charlie kept a lot of us in the loop, and it was a roller coaster. You know, then he was starting to get better, and you know, Charlie's thing was the show must go on. So we went on, and you know, the next guest we had was Chief Raybach, KPD, talked about the enforcement and what was going to be happening as far as curfew and the other regulations, and it was a very good discussion. I think people were at that. A lot of people were still upset with restrictions. They were still upset that they couldn't do certain things that they were normally doing, and I think most of us understood that if we were going to get through this, we had to follow the regulations. So Chief Raybach came on, very great the discussion we had, answered a lot of the questions as far as how KPD was going to be enforcing this curfew. In fact, that they were going to be not going to be arresting everybody. We don't want to put anybody in jail, but we're going to be issuing a lot of citations. And in fact, they did. And then the very next day, again, Charlie's going on this roller coaster ride, but he was always there. And then we had Ed Saunders, a former hotel executive, came up and spoke to us about the importance of the visitor industry using this time to take care of their deferred maintenance on their properties, and not hotel executive over 30 years, not to bring in the tourists. In fact, do whatever the hotels could to keep the tourists away. And there was another really intriguing discussion, because most hotels were looking at, they weren't looking at shutting down. They didn't think that was ever going to happen, but our numbers continued to rise. And it was just refreshing to hear from a hotel executive that felt like us. Now is not the time to be welcoming these tourists. Remember, the quarantine had taken effect. It was probably less than a week later, but we still had people coming in. A lot of visitors still felt that they would do their quarantine here in Hawaii rather than in New York or in Washington State or in those other places in Vegas where the zones were really, really hot. And then we brought back Senator Kochi. Senator Kochi, again, having a discussion about what the state was doing, what the state was looking at. Senator Kochi's done a lot. The state Senate if you watch their committees, I watch it again today. They had transportation at HTA. They had discussing, and we'll talk about this later. But they're talking about how we're gonna be ready come May 1st when the flights open up again. And that is just that's the deal. That's the deal. And then we had Representative DeCoit from Molokai. We had the outbreak. We had the Molokai situation. So Representative Lynn DeCoit, this was the day, Charlie. April 4th is when your brother passed away.
Yeah.
And it was a very difficult day for you, Charlie. And but again, the show must go on. You were here, but share a little bit, man. That's got to be rough. Like you said,
Well,
there was a time between you when he went into the hospital. You called me up and you said, "Mel, we got good news. He's getting better. The oxygen levels are rising." And then just shortly after that, he was gone.
well, let me kind of share with you now, for those of you who are watching. So you kind of get an understanding, because back then it was still a shock for me, because I have to say I was one of those naysayers who thought, just for a slight moment in time, that this COVID was like the flu. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking that way. And because I was thinking that way, I always felt the hope was there, because hey, we all got the flu sometime or another, right? We all know when it's flu season. That is, you're gonna get alerts. You go to the store, you get a big poster that says, have you taken your flu shots? That's how you know it's flu season. So I was kind of operating under that premise. But on the 4th, when it was told to me, and when I came on, was just, it was sort of like a numbing feeling that it took my brother's life. So what I know now, what I didn't know then, every time I thought that there was a hope, because he was on a ventilator, he wasn't, he was resting comfortably. Actually, what was happening in his disease was actually disintegrating his lungs. That's what it was doing. Because I know that now. Back then, I just thought he was just resting. He was on a ventilator. He's going to wake up, he's going to wake up and everything will be fine. No, he was already going down. And I didn't know that. But because of what I know, what we found out on this show, right, Mel, by talking with everybody, we know that one of the symptoms is it'll eat away at the lining of the lungs, and it'll start turning that into sludge. The sludge then turns into pus. And the next thing you know, you develop the pneumonia. But guess what, folks? We were told by, Dr. Miskovich, as well as Dr. Green, Josh Green, that when you get a flu, your blood has a tendency of thinning out a lot, right? So they need to get some kind of coagulant into you to kind of firm things up. But with the COVID virus, that doesn't happen. It's the opposite way around. So when he went on dialysis, his blood was so thick, he was actually gunking up the filters in the dialysizing machines that you don't see in a flu. And I know that now. I didn't know it then. Back then, I always thought, with all the signs and symptoms that was being presented, I thought, hey, man, he's doing good. He's resting comfortably. He's breathing. They're lowering the oxygen levels. All of that were signs that, we're going to have to start looking at really like a hospice care situation if he was to come out of it, because it didn't look good. Did I know that then? No. Do I know it now? Yeah. And so that's why I'm very passionate in telling everybody, you have a life expectancy. Live your life. I get it. But you don't have to succumb to this virus to take that life expectancy and cut it in half. Why go way before your time? And that's why I get upset when people tell me, you know what, you got to live your life, bro. You cannot do this, you cannot do that. You can get banged by a car. I said, I know I can get banged by a car, but I'm not one damn fool to go run on the highway to purposely get banged on a damn car. I'm going to avoid getting hit by my own car. So, people that make statements like that to me, I say, man, you telling me I should get a life? No, you should get a life. And so, my whole thing is, if you don't have to play around with this virus, don't. If you can stay far from it, you're better off. you're better off.
Well, a lot of condolences being sent your way, Charlie, and we appreciate you hanging in there. We
Thank you,
found
brother.
out, from today, I mean, from back then till today, a lot of things have changed. A lot of information, a lot of knowledge, and this is still a developing disease. We had Morgan Lopez come on for Hawaii Lodging and Tourism Association, and she talked about the crusade on making masks. We've had a ton of people volunteering, including my wife, making masks right now around the island and giving these things away to the first responders and those that need it, as well as the Hotel for Heroes program that we're allowing our first responders that are coming in contact with possible positive patients every day of their job and not to avoid bringing them home to their families. They're allowing these people to stay in hotels throughout the state, so that's a good thing. And then of course we had Josh Green. People flipped out when we got the lieutenant governor to come on to our show, and what an eye opener. And again, Charlie, the focus of Lieutenant Governor Green's statements were really, we got to test. We really got to test more. We cannot be opening up the state. We got to test more. And that was really the basis of his statements. And it was it was a pretty fun evening, but also one that was very informative, and finally explaining, getting an expert on that was able to talk to us about the virus. And I remember, Charlie, you asking about the, bringing up the fact or possibility that these things could get into air conditioning vents.
Well, we talked about it because back then the question was, hey, I kind of a naive guy, but when you're in COP, you learn how to ask questions from different angles, because sometimes you're not gonna get the answer straight on. So one of the questions I asked is, well, we're talking about micro droplets, and now if you know about micro droplets, that means that there's a possibility aerosolize, right? Gets in the air and floats. And I can still remember, hey, can it get into the air conditioning system at last? And it's sort of like that theory sort of got like, well, right now evidence doesn't show that. And what happened today?
Yeah. The evidence didn't show a lot of things back then, and they're finding out so many things nowadays. But again, it was for me, it's really rewarding because we were able to follow this thing every single day. We've been doing this every night, talking to different people, and every single night we're learning something new about this virus. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and that wouldn't be Josh's only time with us. Yep. But the next night we had Justin Kohler came on, and he talked about the aggressive prosecution on all of these cases, and we'll see how that goes as people have been arrested. A lot of people have been cited. Most people have just posted bail and went on their merry way. But these cases are all going to be prosecuted, and it'll be interesting to see how many of these guys get whacked with the $5,000 fine or a year in jail. I don't anticipate these guys going to jail, but I do anticipate some of these people paying significant fines, and they should. All of these people that did not follow the rules, you got to understand, the vast majority of us have followed the rules, sacrificed, and did what we needed to do to keep this virus away from people that we love. So those that chose not to, yeah, they should get penalized. Then we had Kalani Vieira. That was another fun evening. That was cool. Kalani's a great guy, and he shared with us about the problems that were happening at the beaches. That no allow. I mean, the governor shut down all the beaches now, but back then we had, you were able to go on the beach. You couldn't hang out. You still had the people hanging out and getting citations or being warned. That was also good. And then we had Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. And I got to say, Tulsi Gabbard, she's a good friend of mine, been my friend for a long time. And, we're really talking about the stimulus packages and the aid that was coming for businesses, the PPP, not the PPE, but the PPP, and all of these companies that stayed open, kept their employees going, anticipating that money. And then we find out that the money ran out. We find out that a lot of the huge corporations, big money people, got big money. We see Harvard giving back the money. Now I understand, what's that other one? That food chain, Oh, and I slipped my mind. But
Ruth
anyway,
Chris's. Ruth Chris's.
was it Ruth? It was one of
Yeah,
them that got. Yeah, they're giving the money back now.
22 million. Yep.
Yeah. So, and then the president just signed, Congress passed a new bill, 460 some odd $billion. So the money's going to be coming. But unfortunately, we saw the damage. Leaky Drive-In. How many other, 67 years in operation, Leaky Drive-In shut its doors because they couldn't sustain or absorb the expenses without the cash flow, without the customers being able to come in. So, it was a very promising night with Tulsi, but then at the end of the day, it's not her fault. I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying that it was a discussion that was very fruitful, I thought, and unfortunately the money just ran out, and unfortunately the money just went to the people that really didn't need it, and a lot of our small businesses. Yeah, Hawaiian Air got a big chunk of that, and a lot of airlines got a big chunk of that. A lot of huge mega corporations got a chunk of that. So hopefully, our small business will get that influx of money, so there will not be another leaky. And then we had Ron Kochi come back with Donovan De La Cruz, and that was pretty fun. I gotta say, that was pretty fun. Donovan De La Cruz, if you don't watch him at the Senate committee meetings, they were talking about their frustrations. He was talking about the frustrations with our Department of Health. How I don't understand why our Department of Health is until today still under the impression that testing isn't the priority, and they're talking about now opening up more testing sites, and but the requirements to be tested was always a problem. I think it still is. They have laxed it up some, but just to watch our Donovan and Ron communicate and share again with what was going on at the state level, I thought was pretty interesting. And then we had Easter Sunday. We took a day off. Everybody got to hang out with their friends and family and party on the beaches and the parks. No, we did not. Everybody got to stay at home and hunt for your own eggs. And that was not a bad Easter, actually, not a bad Easter. And then we had Donna Mercado Kim, the spark plug from the Senate. She came on, and she has no filter. Charlie, she has no filter. I think a lot of you that had only heard her name and never knew her, got to know her real well. And I gotta tell you, I apologize if I'm looking down. Yeah, we're both looking down because we're reading comments, and trust me, we're gonna get to the main discussion. But me and Charlie just wanted to go back and reminisce a little bit about who was here,
Yeah.
and just how things have changed. So Donna Mercado Kim comes on and she just blows it up, and if you haven't seen the Senate hearings, you got to check it out, because she's no different on the Senate committee hearings. And we had Ikaika Anderson, the council chair of Honolulu City Council. He came on and talked about Honolulu. He talked about the knuckleheads as well that are violating all over the place and creating a dangerous environment. See, that's what people got to understand. When we do not follow the rules, when we do not stay at home, or we do not, and I know a lot of you out here feel we should open up already, that our numbers are so good that we should just open up. But we're not ready. I think the experts have all said we're not ready. But Ikaka was talking about all the people on the beaches and the problems that they were having. Their homeless people were starting to spread out and not being checked and tested, which we have that problem going on now. The mayor had just come out with a memo a couple of days ago. They're going to start enforcing the capacities of all the parks. See, each park has a park capacity, camper capacity. And the county did designate certain parks to be used for the homeless to shelter in place. They were able to camp basically for free. No, they didn't have to pay for the camping permits. But every park, Anini and Salpan, and all of these parks have a capacity, have a number, and they're going to start to enforce that. That just came out a couple of days ago. So so that I think is working its way through. But that's a demographic that we got to be careful, because they're not being tested. They're not being tested, and they're not. How many of you out there saw the video on Easter Sunday of the massive Easter celebration that one of these encampments were having? There were no masks. There were no social distancing. And those people aren't getting tested. And that's a concern, not just here, but on Oahu as well. So that was quite enlightening as well. And then of course we decided we're gonna break this stuff up. We're gonna have a hump day humor. We're gonna bring in somebody on Wednesdays. We brought in Augie T, and that was on the 15th of April, and we had a good time. Augie T, I think for most of us, Charlie, I don't know about you, for most of you that didn't know Augie T and you just seen him on stage, or on commercials, or on TV, I don't think too many people realize that this guy was a real guy. He's a human. I don't know how you felt, Charlie, when you got to get to meet him and talk to him. He's pretty normal
Well,
guy that just happens to be funny.
you know, I knew of him, but then that night that we talked to him was another, I guess, turning point in my life, because like I shared with you in 1995, I was married, had three boys, being a police officer on the island of Maui, and I spent close to 40 days at Straub Medical Center. My wife going through treatment all the way up to such time she passed away at Straub. And I remember this guy, I was sitting, because the pressure was so much. I was sitting there. If you've been in Straub in the old wing, they have these benches next to the elevators. And what had happened was this guy came pushing the cart with all these files, and he sat and he talked with me, and he really comforted me. And that guy was Augie Toba, was Augie T. And I tell you, and so that night when he was on air with us, I asked him, I said, hey, you used to do files back in the 90s, 95. And he goes, yep. I said, you remember talking to somebody by the elevator who was on the verge of losing his wife to cancer? And he remembered. I said, the guy was me. So it's kind of how things come full circle, yeah? So good guy.
Yeah, I've known Augie for a long time, and I was aware of his community involvement, and when I heard about him running for council, I was very happy actually. But yeah, he tells a story about how he lost his job. He's so excited because he was making decent money. Really, I'm not gonna say how much money he made, but he was making really good money on the radio station and the cheap eats. And he finally makes the decision to run for office, and he announces his candidacy, and he gets fired from both of his other jobs. So he's unemployed, no revenue, got to build a campaign, and then all of a sudden we all got to see the human side of Augie T. That was pretty cool. And then the next night we went right back with the nurse Aaron Bear from Maui, the nurse that basically came out and spoke about the issues that were happening on Maui Medical. Charlie, you are from Maui.
Yes.
You know a lot of people on Maui. And since we aired that broadcast, a lot of people have reached out to you. In fact, prior to him coming on, but that place had some issues. And in fact, Mayor Victorino last night on the PBS special said we've had some challenges, and we've got to learn from them and not make the same mistakes. But
well, it's sort of it is. I don't want to say it's funny. But I still my heart is still in Maui at times, because I still have my two oldest boys, and my grandchildren are still up there. One lives in Wailuku, the other lives in Lahaina. And my son that lives in Lahaina, why I get worried is, growing up, we lived in Pukalani, and there was never a time that I didn't have to, and I was a police officer then. There was never a time that I didn't have to, but most of the times I had to rush him down to the emergency room because he was a chronic asthmatic. I mean, there was one point the ER doctors told me, you better go I know your father-in-law is a minister, you better go call him because this doesn't look good. And so when this outbreak occurred, I know that's the only hope for my son should something bad happen that he can go to. But now with this cluster problem that they're having over there, I get this text and it says, from the cousins, like, uncle, it's getting bad up here. Then I getting texts from, police officers and workers that work over there. They said, man, this is not a good situation. So, I tried to be very, very ginger when I approached it on Facebook, because I felt if I could just shake some trees, maybe something would happen where administration can really take this seriously. But, everything we heard, you've heard it before. we've heard it live from the DOH that hospital, as it's managed by Kaiser, said that, we're following the guidelines of the CDC. Well, we know the guidelines of the CDC are probably one of the lowest guidelines. That's what everybody said. It's at the lower rung of the ladder. So our thing was, are they doing anything over and above to protect the welfare of the patients as well as its employees? But by then, we already knew the story blew open. They couldn't use their PPEs. They were getting things taken away from them. And, if the outcome would have been better, then we probably would have shut up, right? But no, it got worse. It just got worse.
I think and in fact, Senator De La Cruz, he was in the headlines the other day, basically saying that the health department hid or withheld information. We saw the clusters pop up. We still hear about the cluster at a church. We still hear about a cluster. We know it was at Merriman's. We hear there's a potential, another one. I'm not going to mention the name because I haven't verified that one. But again, I think Maui, hearing from Aaron, talking about the issues, talking about the management of the hospital, not taking heed to what was happening, creating a very unsafe environment. And now we found out, over 50 people infected, even going over to the senior facility at Halemakua, infecting patients as well as employees there as well. So again, these, like you said, Charlie, we come out and we're not doing this to expose, but if
can I share something kind of ironic? You just said it, and I first want to thank all the people that send their condolences. I love you all. I can't get to every one of you, but here's the thing that's so ironic. We know that there's a problem at Mar Memorial, right? And it addresses the clusters. Okay. Now we find out that Halemakua had infection rate, right, from that same thing. And yet, my late wife, her mother is at Halemakua. Okay. So basically, I get another family member. My mother-in-law is at Halemakua. So now I'm in a worry stage. What do you do? What do you do? But you hit the nail right on the head, Mel. You hit the nail right on the head.
Well, I think, Senator Kochi's on, and I got to say that the Senate has been phenomenal in this effort. I got to tell you, and the House is too. But the Senate has been much more vocal, and they've really put together. We'll talk about what the Senate and what Senator Kochi actually, if you go to his page, his Facebook page, you'll see it, of what they're trying to do. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, Aaron Bear, we're not trying to, we need to get the word out so you know what's going on, so you can let your leaders and elected officials know, so that they understand that, this should be transparent. This whole process should be transparent for the people. And that's what I think was lacking. And then we had my son and his girlfriend, Baron, came on, talked to us about what we can do at home to get through this COVID quarantine or stay at home time. And
I lost a bit now. I lost a bit.
Yeah, you
because
did,
I haven't signed up yet.
Yeah, you haven't signed up. And he's, he offered a free beginner fitness training class. Many of you have signed up. Many of you are there. Patsy's doing it. I couldn't do it today, but I watched it. People are it's so easy to do, but after you you realize, oh my God, I'm so out of shape. So he's still offering that thing. It's still free. BARONROKKE.com, and you can sign up. But and his girlfriend is a doctor of physical therapy, so they were just basically what we can do to protect ourselves. We can hang around and wait for the government, or we can protect ourselves. And that was cool. And then we had what many have told us was the best session we've ever had, and that was Minnie Ko from South Korea. And a lot of people were not aware of what South Korea was doing, and she gave us A to Z about how they're doing it, how their isolation works, how their reporting works, what transparency should be, and that's kind of what the Senate now is looking at and saying, hey, we can take some of that and make it work for us. So that was phenomenal. I thought it was a great session that we had. And then we had Senator Kim, Senator De La Cruz, and then Senator Favela, Kurt Favela from Eva Beach. And we all got to meet Kurt and see his passion for the people of Hawaii. And again, I think, what this has done is really shared with all of you, our leaders, and the human side of them, and being able to share their outlook and their updates on what they are doing, what they're trying to do. So really, again, we would have no show if not for these people. And then we had Dr. Scott Miskovich, again, coming on, sharing the importance of testing. I think throughout the country, throughout the world, especially for states that are looking at opening up, one of the things that we need to do, if we're even thinking about opening up our governments or our counties or our state, is the testing. We've been beating that horse. I don't think it's dead yet. I mean, it's kind of limping, but we got to get more testing. And yes, we'll talk about Lance Sigawa and Senator Kochi last night talking about relaxing the requirements for testing. At the end of the day, we need more testing. And Scott Miskovich has offered to come to Kauai. He needs to be invited by the mayor, and that's what we've been asking. And unfortunately, again, what I was told by the mayor's office is that it's really not the mayor. It's our health director, our Kauai health director, Dr. Berriman. She's not comfortable, whatever that means, with Dr. Miskovich coming to Kauai. I disagree with Dr. Berriman. I believe that we should have Scott Miskovich come to Kauai. I believe he should be here. It doesn't cost us anything. He does make money from the insurance companies, but he has a full staff. He takes care of all the testing costs, everything. And nonetheless, we would get more testing numbers, a much better, more accurate snapshot of what the virus is really like on Kauai. So that was Dr. Miskovich. And then Lieutenant Josh Green came back. We had fun with Josh a little bit. He accidentally said the shit word, which drove everybody nuts. We saw fireworks show up on the little emojis. But he's human. You see, all of these people are human. All these people have families in Hawaii. Everyone has elderly grandmas and grandpas or grandchildren or whatever, and we care about them. And everybody wants to make sure we get through this pandemic with the least amount of casualties as possible. And then we had Frank and Augie T, another hump day humor. That was fun. That was pretty hilarious. That was on Wednesday. And then last night we had Senator Kochi and Lance Sigawa, CEO of HHSC. That was very enlightening as well. I know Senator Kochi is on. Thank you very much, Senator Kochi. And thank you, Charlie, for connecting us with Mr. Sigawa. But he made us, hang on. Yes. I'm trying to, my wife is raising her hand. Hang on. Huh? Yes, I did. Oh my gosh. Now I forget what I was talking about. But anyway, we were told last night about about the availability of beds, ICU units, and ventilators. And again, that's based on the trend that we're on right now. That's based on the trend. And this is going to be a perfect segue, Charlie, into what we want to talk about in a short time we have left. Based on the trends we have now, based on the numbers of Kauai that we have, the numbers that we have on Kauai, we have enough beds. We have enough ventilators. We have enough ICU beds. We heard that Mahilona was going to remain untouched. It's going to be a clean hospital. No positives or patients are going to be over there because they have residents, patients that live there, and they need to be protected. But Wilcox and KVMH would, and they would partner up in this. And it's amazing to see these two private companies agreeing to work together to make sure we have the resources in the event those numbers should change. Now, this is the segue. May 1st, and Senator Kochi informed, that's what their Senate committee today was basically with HTA saying, how can you assure us that once May 1st comes, and all of these flights now got their exemption so they can fly to Honolulu, understand it, they cannot fly to Kauai. Delta is the only one that will have a daily flight to Lihue, direct from the mainland. All the rest can go to Honolulu. But that, it's meaningless because you can book a flight from New York to Lihue. Yes, it'll stop in Honolulu, but you transfer onto either island and come here. So when that happens, come May, and that's Senator Kochi's concern, that's the Senate committee's concern. How are we to be sure? How are we going to be sure that in fact we're going to be able to quarantine these guys and keep them away from our residents? Because if we should get a spike, those numbers that we talked about last night with Mr. Segawa, that changes. The game changes because now we're looking at more numbers, more patients, and then the bids and the resources actually come into play.
Well, having a chance to reflect on what was said last night, it is apparent that whatever resources we have, should we experience a spike here on Kauai, everything will jump immediately, and we will expend all of our emergency resources to try and corral all of those who came on island. Okay, that's where the possibility or the danger is going to be, because up until that point, we're basing on the fact that we're going to open up our economy, right? Bring in the tourists. Okay, you don't have those numbers now. So what he talked about is they're pretty comfortable with what the numbers we have now. Because if a population base is at 70,000 with tourism, you know how the numbers jump, right? And they jump exponentially because we know how many we know how many hotel rooms we have. We know how many bed and breakfasts we have. You just do the math. So should something spike, then we're at a crossroad. Is what do we do? Do we corral everybody because we had the virus licked, right? And if there's a spike in the virus happening again, then, and this goes to what was said today by Dr. Sarah Park, and that is the DOH uses basically a protocol, and when you get a few, like one person branches off into 5, you can do contact tracing, you do all of that. She said it's manageable. But she did make a comment that there'll be a few that will get over 100, 1 per 100. And you remember what she said, Mel? She said, it's going to be really tough for us to operate a contact tracing. So that's the thing that bothers me, because hey, that's your department. If something breaks out, they're going to bring tourists back, and it should, or I shouldn't say tourists, travelers, because you can have a local resident returning, right? And they could have visited an area that's a hot spot. If they come back and they start to spread again, what you're telling me, based on what I heard today, that ability to go and contact and trace wherever that person is going to be too difficult for you folks. And then on top of that, they talked about the type of training that individuals should have. And yet, Mel, I think you and I brought it up a couple nights ago, that our training teaches us not to be conventional on how we approach when we ask questions, but come from a different angle. And we look for deception. We look for everything else under the sun, right? So these are the kind of things that, it all comes to play, and it's going to be a tough cookie to manage.
Well, and before I comment, I got to apologize. Patsy was waving her hand because I forgot to mention Representative Val Okimoto, Kauai girl that was on here with Donna Mercado Kim.
Yeah.
A very pleasant woman, same passion, a little more don't tone down from Donna Mercado Kim, but very effective and working very hard in the House side to take care of us here on Kauai, as well as her district on Oahu. So apologize to Representative Okimoto for missing her, but exactly, Charlie, you're talking about right now. I was watching the Senate committee. They were talking with the Attorney General. They're trying to find out the legalities. What does the Senate have to do to be able to take these guys straight from the airport to a 14-day mandatory, either a facility, Senator Kochi talked about it last night, either a close down a vacant hotel or the UH dorms, They would bus them there. No rental cars. No. You stay there until you're 14 days. And Senator Kochi said it's best. We want the message to go out to the world that if you come to Hawaii, you're gonna be in a room, with security to make sure you don't get out of your room for 14 days. See, the ultimate goal, and I agree with Senator Kochi 100%, is not even get them to come. We don't want to deal with you. We don't want to deal with you here. Now is not the time to come. There will be time for you to come later, and that's fine. That day will come. It is not now. So I like that approach where we're going to make it so difficult and so uncomfortable that you don't want to come. In fact, one of the questions was what happened to those two knuckleheads. They're in beyond knuckleheads because they checked out of 2 hotels. They kept running from the law. They picked them up. They actually went back home. They got on a plane and went back home. They still, the attorney general still is going to prosecute them, but they left. So they're no longer running around. But it's very difficult to hang on to these people unless they're in a facility. So the Senate is looking for the legal way, the legal mechanism, whether it's a statute, however it's going to work, a resolution, whatever it is, to make this happen. And I believe it has to happen. And until that happens, I do not believe we should open up this state because we're always going to have that opportunity to be infected by a visitor. May 1st is right around the corner. May 1st is right around the corner. We haven't even gone through the first cycle of this virus. In Japan and in South Korea, they're already seeing the second waves come. We not finished the first wave. One person on that plane. Now we hear about the air conditioning, the possibility that this thing can be transmitted through the air conditioning system. One airplane, it's all recirculated air. That crap is, notice every time you come back from the mainland, I catch some cold. It's like I always get a cold when I get off a damn airplane because I'm breathing somebody else's freaking germs. And that is the problem with this COVID, if in fact that tests come out to be true. So we are at it's a huge crossroad right now. Do we want to move forward? Okay, right now, Alaska flies from Kauai straight to Seattle somewhere they skip Honolulu. The Alaska is not flying direct to Lihue. I know you can go online and they said it was a software glitch or a website glitch. They never stopped selling tickets. I can tell you that. I got confirmation today from an employee. They were selling the tickets and then they canceled them when they realized that this quarantine or this whatever wasn't going to be extended. Or was going to be extended, that they just canceled the flights, but they never stopped selling the tickets. And that's frustrating as well. But right now, as it stands, all of the exemptions were granted. So we're going to have a ton of flights coming into Honolulu, all the major airlines.
Well, remember, somebody just commented, and they're right. For those of you that saw Minnie Cole from South Korea, I mean, it's amazing how they track everybody down. But remember, she spoke highly of that. I shouldn't say highly in a good sense, but as an example, how one person can infect 100, and that's patient number 31.
Chase gets the award. She gets the award for paying attention. Was it Chase? I just saw that.
Yep.
Chase, you get the award for paying attention. Patient number 31, and there's many more. I mean, we have a patient 31 in Maui. We have a patient 31 in Kona. We don't know who they are. That's the problem when you look at the state's reports. They used to tell us which county had the new additional case. They don't even tell us that anymore. You gotta go figure it out. But it's not like that in Korea, and I think that's what a lot of people are worried. Who do you trust? It's sad when they trust Charlie and Mel more than they trust the state. We are lucky because we got a lot of information coming in from reliable sources that cannot speak because they either work for the government, they work for the airlines, or they work for the Department of Health, and they're letting us know what's going on, and that's not how it should be. If you get a cluster, you better let the community know when you find out that there's a cluster. Merriman's, huge restaurant on Maui, huge. A month ago.
Yep.
A month ago.
Yep.
Why wasn't that even notified? What? But the church, so these cryptic messages that show up, and then people got to go ask and ask, and then all of a sudden you find out from someone that works there that, yeah, Mel, that's true. That's true. We obviously we cannot say
Well,
nothing. And
Mel,
that's, it's not right.
you get challenged that, oh no, that's not what the person said, but then you play back the video and you tell yourself, yeah, that is what the person said. Because one thing that I heard from DOH epidemiologist Dr. Pang was about well, I guess it wasn't that important because it burned itself out. Now, I don't know anywhere that you may have read or somebody else might have read that one of the protocols to handle COVID, if you do get it in numbers, is to let it burn out. And I would really like to know, how do you allow it to burn out? Because does it mean that once you get it, you all stay hunkered down and for 14 days, none of you move? I know that didn't happen. People moved around.
Yeah, they sure did. There was also that letter the Costco posted on the Kahului Costco bulletin board, the employee room bulletin board, that one of the employees had tested positive and or had, they weren't going to be tested or whatever it was, and basically saying, hey, this person worked in this department at the membership area and the returns area, last worked on the 15th. So if you don't feel comfortable, you can take your sick leave or vacation or leave without pay, but we're not testing anybody. That is the kinds of things that really, really piss me off, because if we're trying to stop this virus, then we got to take that action. And that's why and this is where I put my opinion. This is what I think. Totally non-scientific. This is just in my 30 plus years of investigative work. I will tell you what I have come as my hypotheses. Damn it, I said it. Hypotheses. This state, from March 21st, when the governor made his announcement that we were going to have a mandatory 14-day quarantine effective March 26th, it was clear to me back then that the goal of this state was to take care of tourism. Now, understand, they are our biggest industry. They pay the bills. I understand that, and I get it. But it was very clear to me on March 21st that this administration was going to do whatever it could to take care of the visitor industry. As we went through this whole process, the 5-day waiting period for the quarantine, the catering to the visitor industry, I believe that this state made a conscious decision to not get the numbers high. Do not create a reporting system that this numbers of COVID positives would be high. The only way we could get that done is by not testing enough. This state Department of Health has from day one professed that testing does nothing for us. Straight out of Dr. Anderson's mouth. It does nothing for us. You could be negative today and you could be positive tomorrow. You could be negative yesterday and you could take a week to be positive. So these testing does nothing for us. That is his exact quote. Instead, he said we must practice social distancing. We must practice staying at home. They were focusing on that part of it, which has so many variables. So you cannot control a person unless you chain them to their house. So to rely on a method or on a program that has so much opportunity for abuse, people are going to go out and go in the store. You allow people to go into stores and touch things, and to not focus on the only scientific method we know today to get an accurate count, which is testing. This state Department of Health has constantly, up until today, made it so difficult for you to get a test, made it so difficult for your primary care physician to sign a paper so you can go get a test. That's why our numbers are so low. When you look at the numbers just on Kauai, and I said this last night to Segawa, between the 19th and the 21st, we did 28 tests. Cannot believe that but only 28 people went to the doctors and said, Doc, I got a sore throat, I'm not feeling well. So when you listen to Miskovich, you go get your tests. And everybody you came in contact with, everyone in your house, gonna get a test. So that's how I assess this whole situation. And lo and behold, It's now April 24th. And we're talking about opening up the state. We're talking about flights coming in May 1st, straight to Honolulu, no restriction. So, in the governor's eyes, mission accomplished because we don't have the numbers to justify shutting the state down. And that is a terrible, I think, a very dangerous way to move forward in this. I think all the experts that I watch on TV and I watch on Facebook, I mean on the internet, all agree. Before you open up, you better have testing, testing, testing. So I'm
Well,
sorry to vent, but that is my assessment, Charlie. And
well, brother,
really,
let me tell you this. I'll echo what you just said, but it's very plain to see, and this is for those who are still in a quandary. You know, how does this whole thing work? I'm just gonna spell it out. I'm not gonna get overly excited, but here's the thing. Right now, we've got tourism held down to a very small minimum. Okay. What you need to understand, though, is we've had problems trying to monitor the few that have come in. This is just a few. When they open the floodgates, you're going to see many more come in. If we cannot handle what we're experiencing now, what actually makes you think, or what makes the state think that we will be able to handle large volumes? That's the thing. And like Senator Kochi said, the Senate really wants to make sure or hope to see from administration that when they do open this whole thing up, that they have systems in place to rapidly respond, because if it should take off, and I know the word is if, okay? But if it should take off, I've said this before, the excuse that's always been given to me is that, hey, we got caught flat-footed, or because we never experienced this before. Okay, you've experienced it now. So damn it, you're gonna open up. Are you ready this time? They still cannot answer you. They're gonna say, you know, we experienced it, but we didn't experience a second wave like this before. I mean, how many times you gonna tell me what you haven't experienced? So there are those out there that say, you know, Uncle Charlie, we're like, see, you know, we got to get back to work. You're right. You're right. But at the same token, I'm going to say to everybody out there, hey, I want to live comfortably, but I don't like being held hostage, because if I gotta practice social distancing, those tourists come off the plane, they better not interfere in my space. That's all I'm going to say. And what I'm worried about is there's some pretty, I mean, we've already had it done. Visitors getting their tires slashed, right? All of these kind of stuff happening. I don't want them to come here and experience something bad, get assaulted, but I'm afraid that may happen. That's the thing that's kind of worrying me right now, because it's almost like the people are saying, you know, government, if you don't like listen to us, this is our home, and you don't like protect us, then we're just gonna take matters into our own hands. I mean, it almost seems that way. And you know, I hope those who are watching, please don't resort to that. It's not worth it. And I don't want Hawaii to be known as a vigilante type state, because we get plenty of aloha, but we feel like we get so much aloha, people on top just not listening to us right now. Hey, just listen to a few of us. If you don't like listen to all of us, listen to a few. And like you said before, Mel, everything is based on common sense. And I think right now, there's a lot of lack of common sense right now. I would like the state to open up. Yes, I'll be the first one to say it. I would like the state to open up, but I want them to be responsible on how they open up, right? It's not like when you have a dam, you let out little water at a time. You don't open the whole damn thing up so the township below the dam get flooded. I don't think dam operators would do that. And that's what I'm saying. Let's do it right, get it done right, and then we should be fine. But right now, the path they take it right now doesn't look like it's the right path. I'm sorry. Okay, I feel better now.
sorry. No,
I feel better
I'm just
now.
saying, you know, you know, I like to cut my hair. You know, I'd love to see our local businesses open up, our restaurants. You know, and if we cut out the tourists, we can have those openings. You know, if we secure this community, then I can go get my hair cut. Yeah, we still gonna practice. You know, the barber might have to wear a mask or whatever the hell it is. My point is this: once the floodgates open, I don't give a damn what the state or HTA is doing at the airport for track. They're gonna call the hotel and say, yeah, he has reservations. I watched him today. Yesterday, one guy came, he never even have reservations. His ass should have been put on another plane back, but no, they allowed him to call a hotel and make a reservation. The guy had no intention of booking a room, but he got caught. Now he has no choice: either go back or book a room. You book a room. How long you think he stayed in that room?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? No, it's not going to work. HTA is not law enforcement. They're not law enforcement. They're tourism authority. They're here to take care of tourists. No, that ain't going to work. But we can start opening up our island as long as we know that constant inflow of potentially infected people. But until that happens, until we have a quarantine facility where I know that my barber never run into some jackass from the mainland with COVID-19, I'm not cutting my hair. When I know that everybody that's walking around this island has been through a 14-day mandatory quarantine, I will feel safe. I will practice social distancing, but I will be a lot more safer and I'll feel more safer. So anyway.
Well, you know, I want to make sure too, Mel. I know there's a lot of women that haven't had the chance to go to their beauty salon, right? And I just want to say to you, pretty soon this will be over. But in the meantime, I know some of you, your eyebrows going from one side to the other. It's okay. I still love you. You're still pretty. I mean, it will take a while to look at that, but I know in time, we'll clean all that up. I guarantee you.
Charlie, I don't think I've ever seen you with that much hair. I really, but you know what? I got to tell you, brother, it looks nice. You look so much younger. No, you do, Charlie. I'm not joking. You look a lot younger.
You remember Lippy Espinda?
I do.
Yeah. That's why when I come my ass like a mother shot, I say forward. I gotta pull them forward.
Well, hey, it's 8:12. We went more than what we were supposed to. I was worried we weren't even gonna be able to do an hour without a guest, but we're just gonna thank you guys. Don't forget, don't forget the shirt. If you guys want a shirt, $10, PayPal, Venmo, private message me. Just send me a message on Messenger. How many you want, what sizes. I'll send you the payment links. All money goes to Hawaii Community Foundation. We want to thank you guys for being so loyal. And joining us every single night. You know, I tell you, we enjoy doing this. We get worked up doing this, but at the end of the day, it forces us to stay informed, forces us to stay educated, and we just really want to share that back with you guys and let you guys know what we're doing. I do want to thank Senator Kochi, who's on, for their efforts, all of the senators and the House members that are working tirelessly to make sure that the state does what is right. And believe me, as a former legislator on the legislative branch, you don't have authority to make anything happen. You can suggest, you can ask, you can demand, but at the end of the day, it's up to the administration. And I can only hope and pray that our governor and our health director starts listening to the people. And testing. All right, Charles.
I'd like to send a shout out to our mayor, Derek Kawakami. Thank you so much for getting things straight last night. I know it was something that had to be done. I thank you for your professionalism. And, you said what you said, and I think we all got the message on that. And it had to be done because, we don't point to other islands to say, hey, you guys look right for try test this out. We wouldn't do that to Maui. We wouldn't do that to the Big Island, especially we wouldn't do that to Oahu. So thank you, Mayor Kawakami, for getting the message out there. Appreciate it.
Oh, by the way, Mayor Caldwell, I don't know how I forgot that. Don't ever speak for Kauai. A friend of mine. It's hard for me because a lot of these guys are my friends. But when he said what he said, thank you, Derek. Thank you for setting the record straight and letting them know that we ain't no goddamn testing ground for anybody.
Yeah.
All right, Charlie.
Okay. Flatten the curve with Nell and Charlie.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Love you. Bless you. Stay safe. Aloha.
Aloha.